It begins as it always does with the sound. Not a single sound, but a symphony of oblivion, a crushing, oppressive weight of auditory presence. It is the sound of 1 billion faithful souls chanting in unison, their voices scraping the very heavens. They chant in the low, guttural tongue of the common Imperial citizen, a language worn down by millennia of hardship and fear. Yet their prayers rise somehow to pierce the smog-choked vaulted ceilings of a cathedral built to the scale of mountains. Sanctus Imperator, Gloria in excelsis terra. The words are a mantra, a shield against the dark. For the vast, unwashed masses, the High Gothic is a mystery, a collection of holy sounds, their precise meaning lost to all but the most ancient and wizened of scribes. Yet their power is absolute. This sound, this constant resonant vibration that is not so much heard as it is felt in the marrow of the bones, is the lifeblood of the Imperium. This ocean of prayer is punctuated by another sound, sharper, devastatingly rhythmic. It is the percussive, synchronized slam of 10,000 ceramite-plated boots striking reinforced ferrocrete. It is the sound of absolute, unquestioning obedience. The sound of the Adeptus Astartes, the angels of death marching to war. It is joined by the grinding hydraulic hiss of titanic machinery, and the thunderous, chaotic stampede of millions more, the Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard, marching to a war they will almost certainly not survive, their hearts filled with a mixture of abject terror and manufactured ecstatic piety. And then, cutting through it all, a single voice amplified by stadium-sized voxcasters so powerful they vibrate the very foundations of the city spire, cracking the intricate stained glass depictions of forgotten saints and weeping martyrs. It is a ministorum priest, a zealot whose face is a mask of ecstatic fury, his throat raw and scarred from a lifetime of screaming dogma. Heresy, he roars, his voice washing over the assembled masses like a physical cleansing blow. Heresy is born of the idle tongue. The idle tongue breeds the open mind. The open mind breeds the traitor's heart. Doubt is a disease. Apathy is a sin. The alien is filth. The mutant is corruption. Suffer not any of them to live. Purge, cleanse, burn. For in the glorious light of our Lord there is only purity, only obedience, only sacrifice. The Emperor protects. The crowd roars its assent, a single monstrous entity of belief. The Emperor protects. It is the Alpha and the Omega of existence for quadrillions of human souls, from the radiation-scorched deserts of Talon to the lightless, pressure-cooked underhives of Necromunda. It is the first lesson taught to a starving child, and the final gasping prayer on the lips of a dying guardsman as the toxic mud of a nameless world fills his lungs. It is the moral justification for the extermination of entire species, the enslavement of populations, and the orbital bombardment of worlds. But as the echoes of that priest's sermon fade, swallowed by the ceaseless deafening din of forge factories and the distant rolling thunder of orbital defense batteries, a question must be asked. It is a question whispered only in the deepest, most fortified shadows of the mind, for to speak it aloud is to invite the cleansing fire of the Inquisitor's torch. In a galaxy where there is only war, what is the true unvarnished value of a lie? We in our lost ancient age used a word, propaganda, a clinical term. It implied deceit, a conscious manipulation of information, the calculated bending of truth to serve a political or military end. It was a tool separate from the wielder. But in the suffocating, screaming darkness of the 41st millennium, that word has lost all meaning. It has been consumed, digested, and reborn as something infinitely more potent, more terrifying. It has become faith. Propaganda is what a government tells its people to make them comply. Faith is what a people are. Propaganda seeks to control the mind. The imperial creed, the state religion of the Imperium of man, seeks to own the soul from the moment of birth to the moment of death, and they claim long beyond. There is no longer any distinction left between the two. The lie is the truth. The myth is the history. The deception is the reality. The Imperium of man is the largest, most powerful, and most breathtakingly brutal regime the galaxy has ever known. It claims dominion over 1 million worlds, a sprawling, cancerous empire of humanity, united under the twin-headed eagle, the Aquila, and the divine, ceaseless, watchful gaze of the God Emperor of mankind. To its citizens, it presents itself as the sole bastion of order in a cosmos dedicated to entropy and gibbering madness. It is a shining, gilded monument to human endurance, to righteous fury, to courage beyond all measure, and to a divine destiny that places mankind as the rightful ruler of the stars. This is the image projected from every flickering pict screen, carved into the stone of every city-sized basilica, and screamed from every pulpit on every inhabited world. It is a glorious, beautiful, awe-inspiring lie, for beneath that shimmering paper-thin veneer of gold leaf lies a foundation of absolute, unadulterated rot. The truth of the Imperium is not a story of glory. It is a story of unending, unimaginable cruelty. It is a chronicle of institutionalized barbarism, of profound, weaponized ignorance, and of a collective desperation so deep and so abiding that it has curdled over 10,000 agonizing years into a monstrous galaxy-spanning fanaticism. The Imperium is a rotting corpse, dressed in the finest armor, animated by electrical impulse, and pumped full of stimulants, staggering forward only through sheer, hateful momentum. But this examination is not simply an exposé. It is not our goal to merely point at the mountains of skulls, the rivers of blood, and to condemn the High Lords of Terror for their millennial deception. To do so would be to miss the true agonizing point of it all. The ultimate horror of the 41st millennium is not that the Imperium is built on a foundation of lies. The true, soul-shattering, mind-breaking horror is that those lies are necessary. The propaganda is not a weakness of the Imperium. It is not a moral failing to be corrected. It is the primary, essential, and perhaps only mechanism of survival for the human race. It is the psychological armor that shields the fragile human mind from a reality so bleak, so hostile, and so utterly fundamentally alien that to comprehend it fully would be to instantly fall to madness, or worse, to chaos. For 10,000 years, this colossal machine of state-sanctioned deceit has ground onward its gears, lubricated by the blood of martyrs and fueled by the unblinking faith of the masses. It has crafted a narrative, a single unifying story that binds 1 million fractured, hateful, and warring worlds into a single cohesive weapon. A weapon pointed with desperate, undiluted hatred at the throat of a galaxy that wishes it dead. This system of belief, this all-consuming propaganda, is a fortress built not of stone or steel which could be breached by cannon fire. It is a fortress built of pure, unadulterated ignorance. Every citizen is a brick unaware of the whole. Every priest is a mason cementing that ignorance with fear, and every inquisitor is a sentinel pacing the walls, his finger on the trigger of an inferno pistol, ready to incinerate any brick that dares to crack, any soul that dares to question the integrity of the structure. In this series, we will take a metaphorical hammer to that fortress. We will not merely scratch the gilded surface. We will tear it down brick by bloody brick. We will journey from the impossibly vast, continent-sized palaces of holy terror, where shadow-dwelling bureaucrats decide the fate of billions they will never see, to the mud-filled, corpse-choked trenches of distant crusades, where those fates are brutally enacted. We will hold the sacred texts of the ecclesiarchy bound in human skin and written in blood up to the cold, unforgiving light of reality. We will examine the sainted heroes of the Imperium, the angelic, godlike space marine, the noble and steadfast Imperial guardsman, the all-knowing tech priest of Mars, and we will expose the monstrous, inhuman truths they are designed to conceal. We will, in the ultimate blasphemy, stare directly into the golden, agonizing prison of the Emperor himself, the master of mankind, the anathema, the corpse god on his golden throne, and we will ask the question that damns. What if the god they worship is not only dead, but a fraud? But more importantly, we will answer the truly terrifying follow-up question. Why is that fraud the only thing holding the fragile veil of reality together? The lie is not just a tool of the state. It is the state. It is the armor that protects. It is the air that is breathed. It is the corpse starch that is eaten. The Imperium is its propaganda. Without that lie, the human species tears itself apart, consumed by internal strife and the howling, laughing predators of the warp. What follows is a journey into the heart of the greatest, most necessary lie ever told. A lie whispered by a dying, tortured god, screamed by his fanatical priests, and enforced by the guns of his merciless executioners. This is the truth of the Imperium. A truth built on lies. A light sustained by unimaginable darkness. A future for humanity purchased by the permanent damnation of its own soul. The echoes in this cathedral, they are not prayers of hope. They are the rattling chains of a species that has enslaved itself simply to survive. Gaze upon the icon. See the face that adorns 1 trillion banners, the image carved into the hull of every void-faring cathedral and stamped onto the ration bar of every soldier. Behold the pinnacle of human destiny, the master of mankind, the god-emperor of terror. To the quadrillions of souls who live and die in his name, he is not a distant ruler. He is not a historical footnote. He is the anima mundi, the living, breathing, conscious soul of the entire human species. He is the benevolent father who, in the glorious, half-forgotten dawn of the Imperium, strode among men as a colossus of golden light, uniting the scattered, warring tribes of terror with a firm hand and a righteous heart. He is the shepherd who gathered the lost flock of humanity from the darkness of old night and set their sights upon the stars, upon a manifest destiny to rule the galaxy in logic and in light. And he is above all the ultimate martyr, the living miracle. See him now, not as he was, but as he is. Enthroned not in opulent glory, but in an agony of eternal sacrifice. 10,000 years ago, as the galaxy burned in the fires of the greatest betrayal, he faced the arch-traitor, the apostate, the fallen sun upon the precipice of galactic damnation. He confronted an evil so pure, so potent, that its very existence would have extinguished the human race in a single, howling, psychic scream. And he did not falter. He endured a pain that would shatter suns. He suffered wounds that would slay a lesser god. And for his loyalty, for his infinite love of humanity, he was interred upon the golden throne of terror. A prison, some might whisper. But they are wrong. It is not a prison. It is a bulwark. He is not a victim. He is our shield. From that holy throne his psychic will radiates across the immensity of the void, a nimbus of divine energy. It is a wall of golden fire that holds back the ravenous, teeth-gnashing, soul-devouring horrors of the warp. It is the Astronomicon, the lighthouse of the Immaterium, the singular, unwavering beam of light that guides our fleets through the treacherous tides of unreality, allowing trade, allowing reinforcement, allowing the very existence of the Imperium. He is the guardian who has not slept nor rested for 10 millennia, the loving father who endures unending, unimaginable torment every second of every day, so that his children we might live one more day, one more hour free from the damnation that waits just beyond the veil. This is the first and only truth of the Credo Imperialis. The galaxy is a pit of profound, impenetrable darkness. It is a cold void filled with the monstrous, the unthinking, the alien, and the obscene. In this terrifying, lightless abyss, there is but one light. One singular, blazing, magnificent sun, the holy will of the Emperor. The Adeptus Ministorum, his holy church, teaches us the simple, glorious catechisms of faith. To serve him is the highest honor. To fight in his name is the greatest, most noble calling. To die in his name is the ultimate, most glorious ascension. Every action a citizen takes must be weighed by this simple, unwavering metric: does it serve the Emperor? Every thought must be filtered through this sacred prism. A mind that wanders is a mind that invites the shadow. A heart that questions is a heart that is already betraying him. Doubt is not a simple human failing. It is the first insidious, cancerous step of the heretic. And heresy has but one reward. There is no nuance, there is no debate, there is only the certainty of his divine light. But what of the common man? What of the hive worker, his hands bleeding as he toils for 19 hours straight in a dimly lit manufactorum? What of the humble farm serf on a distant agri-world, his entire life spent harvesting Grok's feed under a strange alien sun? What is their reward for this life of toil? It is his protection. The phrase repeated in every sermon on every broadcast is not a hope. It is a sacred promise. The Emperor protects. He protects your body from the slavering jaws of the tyrannid swarm and the brutal green fist of the orc. He protects your mind from the maddening whispers of the great enemy, the demonic entities that would shred your sanity and feast upon your soul. And when your service is done, when your body broken and spent in glorious loyal toil finally fails, you are not cast into the empty, cold oblivion. You are not forgotten by an uncaring cosmos. The loyal soul, purified by a lifetime of faithful service and selfless sacrifice, is drawn inexorably to his light. It ascends. It is gathered into the Emperor's own divine, golden embrace to find a peace and a purpose that mortal life could never offer. You become one with the Master of mankind, an eternal sentinel, a single point of light in the glorious constellation of the faithful standing vigil beside the very God you served. Your loyalty is your salvation, your faith is your immortality. This is the golden promise that illuminates the darkness. This is the divine, unblemished, perfect image of the Savior of humanity. This is the Emperor. And if the Emperor in his golden, agonizing vigil is the divine will that holds the galaxy in balance, then they are the instruments of that will. They are his sword, his shield, and his righteous, unquenchable fury made manifest. They are the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines. To the common citizen of the Imperium, they are not men. They are legends. They are myths whispered in the dark to frighten unruly children, and prayers screamed by desperate soldiers on a failing barricade. Most will live and die without ever seeing one in the flesh. But everyone knows the stories. When a world is on the absolute brink of annihilation, when the planetary governor has been flayed alive and hung from his own battlements by alien reavers, when the last regiments of the Imperial Guard are being overrun by a chittering biological tide, and all hope has bled out into the mud, that is when they come. They do not simply deploy, they descend. They are the thunderbolt cast from the heavens, arriving on pillars of fire in their holy drop pods, or teleporting in blinding flashes of golden light. They are the angels of the Emperor, clad in armor of blessed ceramite, each suit a holy relic in itself, painted in the vibrant heraldic colors of their ancient and storied chapters. They are demigods, 8 feet tall, with hearts that beat like war drums and voices that roar with the authority of the Emperor himself. The ground trembles as they walk, and the very air seems to crackle with their divine purpose. Their bolters are not mere guns. They are the Emperor's own voice speaking in explosive, armor-piercing dialogue. Their chainswords are not simple blades. They are the teeth of his vengeance, singing a hymn of righteous slaughter as they cleave alien flesh and heretic bone. They are the living embodiment of mankind's fury, the glorious, wrathful answer to a galaxy that seeks only to consume us. They are hope, clad in steel. But their strength is not merely of the body, it is of the soul. Engraved upon the very bedrock of their being is the sacred dogma, and they shall know no fear. Consider this. We, the common clay of humanity, are defined by fear. We fear the dark. We fear the Xenos. We fear the Commissar's bolt pistol. We fear the Inquisitor's gaze. And it is this fear that the archenemy preys upon, this weakness that allows corruption to seep into the heart. The Astartes are pure. That capacity for fear, that mortal flaw, has been scoured from them by holy science and hypno-indoctrination. They do not feel terror. They do not comprehend doubt. They do not understand the very concept of retreat. They are, in every sense of the word, incorruptible. A space marine cannot be swayed by the alien's lies, nor tempted by the demon's promises. He is a fortress of faith, a walking, breathing bastion of loyalty. Where a normal man would break, he stands. Where a regiment would scatter, he charges. He is the Emperor's will, and the will of the Emperor is absolute, unwavering, and perfect. They are flawless. They are the moral ideal to which all of humanity must aspire. This is why their image is everywhere. They are the ultimate symbols of imperial power and human perfection. On countless worlds, the traveler is greeted not by politicians, but by towering effigies of bronze and marble. A space marine, his visor, a grim, impassive scowl, his bolter held eternally at the ready, a silent guardian protecting the masses who toil in his shadow. In the grandest cathedrals, their deeds are immortalized in vast, impossibly intricate, stained glass windows. See here the ultramarines shining in their noble blue, bringing the light of civilization to a benighted world. See there the blood angels, scarlet and magnificent, their angelic faces contorted in righteous fury as they purge the demonic. And there the imperial fists, stoic and yellow, the unbreakable defenders of terror itself. These are not just decorations, they are lessons. They are holy texts for the illiterate masses. They teach awe, they instill obedience. They scream a single simple message into the mind of every citizen: you are safe. You are protected. The Emperor has forged gods to fight for you. All that is asked of you in return for this divine, selfless protection is your simple, unwavering, and absolute loyalty. They are the angels of vengeance. They are the saviors of mankind. They are perfect. But the angels of death, divine as they are few. They are the Emperor's scalpel, a precise instrument for excising the most virulent cancers. But the galaxy is not a patient to be saved by a single clean incision. It is a rabid beast to be bludgeoned into submission, a tidal wave of horrors that must be met by an unbreakable shore. That shore, that vast, indomitable bulwark of steel and faith, is the Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard. They are us. They are humanity itself in its countless, unnumbered billions. They are the sons and daughters of hive workers, the farmhands of agri-worlds, the gangers of feral cities, all drawn together by a single holy purpose. They are the living, breathing proof that the will of the common man, when forged in the fires of faith and aimed by the Emperor's divine hand, is the most potent force in the cosmos. Where the Astartes is a demigod, the Imperial Guardsman is a hero. He is not 8 feet tall. He is not blessed with superhuman organs or armor that can turn aside cannon fire. He is a man, a woman, mortal, fragile, and flesh. And that is his and our greatest glory. For when the guardsman stands his ground against the 8-foot green-skinned orc, a creature bred only for slaughter, he does so. Knowing fear, he feels the terror, the primal urge to flee, and he masters it. He masters it through faith, through discipline, and through his love for the Emperor. He is courage itself, not the absence of fear, but the absolute conquest of it. This is the image hammered into the public consciousness. The posters on every street corner show him, his jaw set, his eyes hard, his flak armor gleaming, his lasgun held steady as a rock. Behind him, the Imperial Aquila unfurls a golden promise of victory. The Astra Militarum is the hammer of the Emperor, a force so vast its numbers defy comprehension, a wall of human will against which tides of Xenos and heretics have broken themselves for 10 millennia. They are the 1,000,7% casualty rate that against all odds wins. And they are not sent to die with sticks and stones. Look at the glorious recruitment vids broadcast in every habitation block. See the proud men and women of Cadia standing resolute, their eyes burning with loyalty. See the might of the Leman Russ battle tank, a rumbling steel-clad fortress spitting death at the foe. See the earth-shattering power of the Baneblade, a mobile instrument of the Emperor's own wrath, its cannons leveling entire city blocks in a single deafening salvo. See the ranks upon ranks of valiant soldiers, their laser guns firing in perfect, disciplined unison, casting forth the Emperor's own cleansing light. The slogan repeated by every drill abbot and recruiting sergeant is, "Law, the Emperor protects." Your standard-issue flak armor is not mere hardened plate. It is a prayer in physical form, blessed by the Ministorum, designed to turn aside the coward's blade and the heretic's bullet. Your laser gun is not a simple energy weapon. It is a gift from the Mechanicus, a holy implement that shines with a particle of the Emperor's own light, its power pack unfailing, its beam true. You are part of the greatest, best-equipped, and most righteous army in the history of the galaxy. Of course, some will fall. The sacrifice is great. The galaxy is a terrible place. But this is where the propaganda machine performs its greatest, most sacred work. Death is not an end. It is not a failure. It is the mission's glorious culmination. The Vox broadcasts do not speak of casualties. They speak of martyrs. They do not describe a failed offensive. They chronicle a glorious sacrifice that stalled the enemy for vital hours. To die for the Emperor is the single greatest honor a mortal can achieve. It is to have your name inscribed in the eternal honor rolls of the Ministorum. It is to prove your faith beyond all doubt. It is to be welcomed instantly into the Emperor's embrace. The propaganda transforms the abattoir of the front line into a forge of saints. It turns the unimaginable grinding horror of attrition warfare into a noble, spiritual crusade. The Imperial Guard does not retreat. It performs a tactical withdrawal to a more defensible position. It does not get massacred. It gloriously pays the price of victory. Through this lens, every soldier is a hero. Every death is a triumph, and every battle, no matter the outcome, is a testament to the indomitable, glorious, and holy spirit of mankind. And what of the Imperium itself? What is this grand galaxy-spanning edifice for which the Emperor suffers the Astartes fight and the guardsman dies? It is civilization. It is the last, only, and final bastion of sanity in a universe that fell to madness 10,000 centuries ago. It is the great golden fortress of humanity, holding back the howling, screaming night. Look beyond our blessed adamantium walls. What do you see? There is no enlightenment. There is no peace. There is no possibility of coexistence. There is only the Xenos, the alien. A gallery of horrors, each one a mockery of true, holy human life. Out there is the Orc, a mindless, green-skinned brute that lives only to kill, to maim, to destroy, propagating like a fungus and finding joy only in psychotic violence. Out there is the Eldari, a capricious, arrogant, and decadent creature, their dying empire, a testament to their own failures, a race that would sacrifice 1 billion human souls to save a single one of their own withered kin. Out there is the Tyrannid, a silent, slavering biological nightmare, a great galaxy-spanning mouth that seeks only to devour, to absorb, to end all life, and leave nothing but a scoured, lifeless rock in its wake. And worse, infinitely worse, dwelling in the immaterial sea that separates the stars is the great enemy, the primordial annihilator, Chaos, the whispering, tempting, soul-destroying gods of madness that claw at the veil of reality, seeking only to twist, to corrupt, and to damn every human soul into an eternity of blissful, screaming torment. This is the reality of the cosmos. It is not a garden of diverse wonders. It is a slaughterhouse, an asylum, and a torture chamber all rolled into one. Against this, the Imperium stands as the only alternative. It is order against chaos. It is purity against corruption. It is hope against despair. It is the singular shining lighthouse of human civilization, standing firm against an ocean of galactic insanity. We are the flame. All else is the cold, crushing dark. This is why the Ministorum teaches there can be no peace. This is why the common greeting is not hello, but the Emperor protects. This is why our society must be one of complete and total mobilization for war. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. This is not a lament. It is not a complaint. It is a statement of divine fact. It is the fundamental organizing principle of our existence. The tithes you pay the 10th of your planet's every product, be it food, minerals, or even your own children for the guard, this is not a burden. It is your privilege. It is the small, holy price you pay to fuel the armies that keep the alien beast from your door. The long hours you toil in the manufactorum forging laser guns and tank treads, this is not labor. It is prayer enacted by your very hands. The fact that every aspect of your life, from the food you eat to the partner you are assigned, is governed by the vast, complex, and all-seeing Adeptus Terra is not oppression. It is order. It is the benevolent guiding hand of the Emperor, ensuring that every sinew of humanity is flexed in unison for our common sacred purpose survival. It was not always so. In the ancient mythical past of the Great Crusade, the Emperor himself walked among us, and he brought with him the Imperial truth. It was a simple, powerful, and secular creed that there were no gods, neither in the heavens nor in the depths of the warp. There was only mankind and the power of human reason and human science, destined to conquer the galaxy through logic and enlightenment. But that was a time of naivety. That was a time before the great betrayal, before the galaxy showed us its true demonic face. The Emperor's grand atheistic dream was proven tragically, horribly wrong. The old Imperial truth, a doctrine of cold, hard logic, died with the Emperor's mortal body. It was a casualty of a war it could not comprehend. From its ashes, reborn in fire and faith, rose the new, true, and final understanding, the Imperial Creed. The Emperor, in his infinite sacrifice, did not just die for us. He became a god for us. His secular truth was a test, a prelude to the greater divine truth he revealed through his ascension to the Golden Throne. He is not just our ruler. He is our creator, our protector, and our one true object of worship. The Imperium is not merely a political entity. It is a galaxy-spanning church. And by this simple, unwavering, and glorious faith, and by this faith alone, shall humanity be preserved. Now, take that gilded icon, that image of the benevolent, watchful Father, and cast it into the fire. Let the gold peel away under the heat of the real, the unpalatable, the damning truth. Let it burn until only the skull beneath remains. You have been shown the God Emperor. Now let us show you the Corpse God. Journey with us past the 10,000 space marines of the Adeptus Custodes, the golden silent guardians. Journey past the screaming, psychically shielded chambers, deep into the heart of the Imperial Palace, into the Sanctum Imperialis itself. Come and kneel before the Golden Throne, but do not avert your eyes. Do not bow your head in prayer. Look at your God. He is not a golden colossus radiating benevolent light. He is not a loving father watching over his children. He is a thing, a cadaver, a desiccated skeletal mummified corpse dwarfed by the mountainous arcane machinery that encases him. His body is a ruin, a parchment-thin layer of withered skin stretched taut over blackened, broken bones. His face is a silent, unending scream locked in the moment of his mortal death 10,000 years ago. His eye sockets are empty, lightless pits. What remains of his jaw is fused open ligaments and sinew having rotted away or petrified millennia ago. He is not a guardian. He is a prisoner. He is not a conscious will. He is a psychic battery held in a state of suspended, agonizing, perpetual death by a nightmarish tangle of life support technology so ancient, so complex, that no living being comprehends its function. He is the greatest, most profound tragedy in human history. A being of unimaginable power, trapped for 10 millennia in a broken, useless shell, his mind fractured into a million warring shards, his torment an unending psychic shriek that echoes in the nightmares of every psyker in the galaxy. He is not watching over you. He is screaming forever in a darkness only he can see. And the sacrifice, the noble martyrdom he endures for his people, it is not just his own. His existence is a parasitic one, and the host is humanity. The Golden Throne is failing. The ancient arcane machinery is breaking down piece by agonizing piece, and the tech priests who tend it are but ants trying to repair a dying star. To keep this ghastly engine of life in death functioning, to keep the dim, flickering ember of the Emperor's psychic essence from being extinguished, it demands a price. A daily tithe. A constant, unending stream of fuel. That fuel is souls. Every single day, without fail, for 10,000 years, the black ships of the Inquisition have plied the stars, rounding up thousands upon thousands of human psychers. These are not volunteers. They are children who woke up with the terrifying ability to see the future. They are men and women whose only crime was being born with a sensitivity to the warp. They are rounded up, chained, and dragged back to holy terror in lightless holds. And every single day 1,000 of these psychers are brought before the Golden Throne. They are not there to pray. They are there to be fed. They are plugged into the machine, their minds and souls becoming the psychic kindling for a dying fire. They are consumed utterly. Their bodies are incinerated to ash, their souls shredded and devoured, their psychic screams a barely noticed harmony in the greater symphony of the Emperor's own suffering. 1,000 living, feeling, terrified human beings sacrificed every day just to buy the Imperium another 24 hours of existence. Your god is a vampire feasting on the souls of his own children. The glorious Astronomicon, the light that guides your fleets, it is not the beam of a benevolent lighthouse. It is the psychic death rattle of 30,000 souls a month, focused and aimed by a rotting, screaming corpse. And here lies the ultimate, most bitter irony, the final damning heresy upon which the entire Imperium is built. This entire religion, the ecclesiarchy, the ministorum, the quadrillions of faithful chanting his name, the billions of zealots waging wars of faith in his honor. He never wanted it. The Emperor of mankind, the man who walked among us in the Great Crusade, was a staunch, profound, and militant atheist. His entire galactic campaign, the very ideal of the imperial truth that he championed, was a war against faith. He tore down the churches of old Earth. He executed the last priests. He saw religion not as salvation in which he did not believe, but as the fundamental weakness of the human psyche, the very vulnerability that allowed the horrors of the warp, the chaos gods, to gain purchase. He preached a gospel of science, of logic, of reason, and of a galaxy ruled by man alone, free from the shackles of gods, demons, and superstitious terror. The Imperium as it stands today is the living, breathing, screaming embodiment of his greatest, most profound failure. The one thing he fought to eradicate, blind, fanatical religious dogma, has become the only thing that defines his empire. The High Lords of Terror, the Cardinals of the Ministorum, the Inquisitors of the Ordo Hereticus. They are all, in the purest sense of the word, heretics, by the standard of the very man they claim to worship. They have betrayed his every ideal. They have spat on his secular dream and built a throne of lies upon his broken body. The corpse god is a blasphemy. The imperial creed is a lie. The entire religion is a monstrous joke, a tragic millennia-long misunderstanding that has damned the entire human species to an eternity of ignorance, all in the name of a man who died fighting to prevent it. This is the truth of your Savior. He is not a god, he is a battery, and the faith that sustains him is the poison that killed his dream. Angels of Death. It is a beautiful, poetic, and utterly misleading title. For the myth of the Adeptus Astartes to be born, the truth must first be strangled in its cradle. They are not angels sent from the Emperor's side. They are simply and absolutely his executioners. Let us begin where their legend does their creation. The propaganda tells you they are the chosen, the noblest, the best. The truth is that they are not chosen. They are taken. They are stolen children. From the savage feral worlds of Fenris, where they are barely more than beast children hunting monstrous ice krakens, to the toxic, irradiated hellscapes of Baal, where they are mutant scions of a dying race, they are harvested like a crop. The black-armored ships descend, and the chaplains, those grim, skull-helmed priests of war, do not ask for volunteers. They select. They take the strongest, the fastest, the most ruthless. They take the child who murders his rival with a sharpened rock without blinking. They take the boy who, when his village is attacked, is the first to charge back into the fire. And what of the families they leave behind? The propaganda speaks of immense honor of families celebrating their child's ascension. The reality is far simpler. On most worlds, this recruitment is seen for what it is, an abduction by dark gods from the sky. The families do not celebrate. They mourn a child who is for all intents and purposes dead. This is only the beginning of the culling. The chosen children are taken to the chapter's fortress monastery, and there the trials begin. These are not tests of character. They are massacres. They are forced to fight each other to the death. They are force-marched across lethal deserts with no food or water. They are hunted by the chapter's own aspirants, or left in plague-ridden swamps, or forced to scale impossible mountains while being shot at. The vast majority do not fail. They die. They are the biological refuse, the discarded raw material of a process that seeks not the best of humanity, but the most resilient, the most brutal, and the most psychologically damaged. Those few who survive this ordeal, those traumatized, blood-drenched children, have earned the right to truly suffer. They are taken to the apothecarian, and the real mutilation begins. This is the truth of ascension. It is a series of brutal, agonizing surgeries. Organs are forced into their bodies, a second heart, a third lung that can breathe water or poison an organ that allows them to spit corrosive acid, another that lets them absorb the memories of the dead by eating their flesh. Their bodies are broken, stretched, and reformed, a process so agonizingly painful that many die on the operating table, their new second heart exploding in their chest. But the physical change is nothing compared to the violation of the mind. This is the secret of, and they shall know no fear. It is not a function of their courage, it is a function of their mutilation. The human brain is a delicate, complex thing. The Astartes process takes a rusted chainsword to it. Through psycho-indoctrination, chemical alteration, and brutal agonizing hypnotherapy, their minds are forcibly shattered and rebuilt from the ground up. The parts of the brain that feel terror, that feel empathy, that feel pity, love, or grief are simply clinically and brutally excised. They are scoured away, cauterized, and replaced with dogma, with hatred for the alien, and with absolute, unquestioning obedience. They do not know no fear because they have conquered it. They do not know it because the very capacity for it has been surgically and psychologically removed. They are not brave. They are programmed. The child who was stolen from his village is murdered piece by piece on a sterile operating table, and what rises is not a man. It is a weapon. A living, breathing, sentient asset conditioned from its very core to feel nothing but loyalty to its chapter and disgust for all else. And what of their noble actions on the battlefield? The propaganda shows them shielding the weak, saving the civilian masses from the alien horde. This is perhaps the most obscene and dangerous lie of all. A space marine does not save a civilian population out of compassion. He does not have compassion. He saves a civilian population because that population is a strategic asset. It is a tithe-paying resource. It is a factory for the Imperial war machine. And if that strategic asset is deemed expendable, or worse, contaminated, the Astartes will not hesitate to purge it. Ask the survivors of the Armageddon War about the Marines' Malevolent, a chapter so infamous for their calculated cruelty that even the Imperium is disgusted by them. They have shelled refugee camps to deny the enemy cover. They have stolen vital medical supplies from wounded guardsmen, declaring that their own more valuable war gear takes precedence. They are not saviors. They are monsters wrapped in the colors of the Imperium. Ask the Imperial Guard regiments who have fought alongside the Flesh-Tearers, a successor chapter of the angelic Blood Angels. They are not noble warriors. They are barely leashed psychopaths gripped by a genetic madness that drives them into a frothing, uncontrollable rage. They do not just kill the enemy, they butcher them, tearing them apart with their bare hands, and have on more than one occasion turned on their own allies in their bloodlust. Even the noblest of them, the famed Ultramarines, operate on a calculus that is profoundly, terrifyingly inhuman. They will sacrifice a planet to save a sector. They will order the firebombing of a city of 10 million loyal citizens to prevent a demonic incursion that might kill 20 million. It is not heroism. It is cold, brutal, and horrifying arithmetic. The statues are a lie. The stained glass windows are a fantasy. They are not angels. They are not demigods. They are tragedies. They are stolen, mutilated, brainwashed child soldiers, given the bodies of giants and the minds of fanatics. They are the Imperium's most effective and most terrifying monsters, and they are pointed not just at the alien, but at us. They are the final absolute argument against any who would dare question the Emperor's will. They are not your protectors. They are your keepers. Now let us turn our gaze from the angelic demigod to the common man, the hero, the brave mortal soldier standing resolute against the darkness, his jaw set, his faith, his shield. The glorious, noble Imperial Guardsman. This is the kindest and perhaps the cruelest lie of them all. He is not the hammer of the Emperor. He is the meat. He is not the wall of steel. He is the sandbag piled high in a wet, stinking, anonymous mound, existing only to absorb the enemy's bullets. He is the single most expendable, most tragically common resource in the entire vast, uncaring Imperium, a warm body. Let us first dispense with the myth of the well-equipped soldier. The Lehman Russ tanks and the Bane blades you see on the propaganda posters, they are rare. They are holy relics of the Mechanicus reserved for crucial offensives, often arriving too late or grinding to a halt because their machine spirit was not properly placated. The reality for the common guardsman is the laser gun, a weapon so mass-produced, so cheap, that it is often called a flashlight. His armor is not a prayer in physical form. It is flak paper sheets of compressed low-grade plasteel that might stop a piece of low-velocity shrapnel or a glancing blow from a primitive slug thrower. It will absolutely not stop a tyrannid's scything talon and orc's chopper, or the explosive mass-reactive bolt of a heretic Astartes. And his food, the holy rations that fuel his courage. The Imperium is a logistical nightmare, a bureaucratic black hole where entire fleets disappear and tithes arrive centuries late. Supplying a crusade of 10 billion soldiers is impossible. So the Adeptus Munitorum improvises. When the supply lines are cut, when the agri-worlds have fallen, the rations still arrive. They are dense, grey, protein-rich bars. The soldiers eat them grateful to have anything at all. Until one day a veteran, his mind already half broken, whispers the truth to the new recruit. He points from the ration bar to the corpse reclamation teams, to the vast churning vats of the processing plants behind the lines. It is called soylent viridians, corpse starch. The Imperium wastes nothing. The dead are not just mourned, they are harvested, they are recycled. The glorious martyr who fell yesterday, his body rendered down, processed, and reconstituted, is the protein bar in your hand today. You are quite literally eating your own comrades, your own fallen heroes. The Imperial Guard is a self-sustaining, cannibalistic meat grinder, devouring its own flesh to fuel its relentless, pointless advance. Now let us speak of that courage, The soldier who masters his fear through faith, a beautiful fiction. He masters his fear of the enemy because he has been given something to fear, far, far more. Look closer at the recruitment poster. Not at the hero in the front, but at the grim, black-clad figure standing behind him, the commissar. He is not there to inspire. He is there to enforce. He is the walking, breathing embodiment of the Imperium's true motivational tool terror. When the artillery screams, when the air fills with the psychic shrieks of the warp, when a man's mind breaks, and it will break, he has two choices. He can run forward into the alien guns where he has a 1 in a million chance of survival. Or he can hesitate, he can falter, he can turn. And the moment he does, the commissar, who feels no pity, no empathy, only the cold, hard logic of discipline, will raise his bolt pistol, speak a single short prayer for the man's tainted soul, and execute him on the spot. A single explosive crack, and the coward's head evaporates in a red mist. An example is made. The line holds. That is not courage. That is a simple horrific calculation, certain death for faltering versus possible death for advancing. The guardsman's bravery is nothing more than weaponized despair aimed at the enemy by a man in a peaked cap holding a gun to his skull. Finally, the glorious sacrifice, the promise of martyrdom. This implies the soldier's death matters, that it is seen, recorded, and honored. This is the most obscene lie of all. On a death world like Armageddon, fighting the endless green tide of orcs, or in the nightmare siege lines of Vrax, a conflict that consumed 20 million guardsmen, there is no honor. There is only attrition. The average life expectancy of a newly deployed guardsman in a major meat grinder offensive is not measured in years or months or even weeks. It is measured in hours. On some fronts, it is measured in minutes. The High Command does not know your name. They do not know your face. You are a number, a single digit in a column of projected losses that an administratum clerk on a world 1,000 light years away has already rounded down to zero. They send in penal legions, billions of convicts, hive gangers, and political prisoners strapped with explosive collars, their arms surgically locked to their lasguns. They are not sent to win the battle. They are sent to reveal the enemy's defenses. They are human minesweepers. Their entire glorious sacrifice is to die in waves, simply so a general can find out where the enemy machine guns are. Your death will not be glorious. You will not die in a heroic last stand, bolter in hand. You will be vaporized by an artillery shell you never heard coming. You will be eaten alive by a swarm of gaunts. You will drown choking in a muddy, corpse-filled trench, poisoned by your own polluted environment. And no one will remember your name. You are not a martyr. You are a statistic. You are another shovelful of meat fed into the grinder to clog its gears for just one more second. And who weaves this tapestry of lies, who plucks the strings of this galaxy-spanning marionette show, it is the Adeptus Ministorum, the Ecclesiarchy, the Holy Church of the God Emperor of mankind. They are the self-proclaimed shepherds of humanity's soul, the moral compass of the Imperium. They are the ones who provide comfort, meaning, and a sense of divine purpose to the teeming, suffering billions. This is their sacred duty. And it is a lie. The Church is not a shield for the faithful. It is a vampire draining the very lifeblood of the populace it claims to protect. First, behold their piety. Look at the cathedrals of any major imperial world. They are not humble places of worship. They are mountains. They are man-made Alps of marble gold and stained glass, their spires literally piercing the polluted clouds. They are monuments to vanity built to a scale that defies sanity. Thousands of generations live and die in the shadow of a single cathedral, their entire lives spent carving one gargoyle, polishing 1 square meter of golden floor. Now look at the cardinal who presides over this monument. He is not a humble ascetic clothed in rags. He is a corpulent, bloated creature, his robes woven from threads of pure molten gold and studded with gemstones the size of a man's fist. He feasts on exotic meats and drinks wines from worlds 1,000 light years distant, while the very citizens who paid for his splendor starve in the gutters outside his palace, subsisting on fungus and corpse starch. The ecclesiarchy is the single wealthiest institution in the Imperium, and its wealth is built entirely on the suffering of the poor. It is a protection racket on a galactic scale. The tithes are not offerings, they are extortion. Give us your last crumb of bread, the priest screams, and the emperor will reward you in the afterlife. Withhold it, and you shall burn as a heretic. It is a machine that converts the desperation of the masses into opulent, obscene, and utterly useless political power. But this hypocrisy is not even their greatest sin. Their greatest sin is division. The propaganda claims the Imperial creed unites humanity. This is a catastrophic falsehood. The creed is the single greatest source of civil war within the Imperium. The Church is not a monolithic entity. It is a seething, venomous pit of warring factions, schisms, and heresies, each one absolutely convinced that their interpretation of the Emperor's divinity is the only correct one. The ecclesiarchy has no single unified holy text. It has 10,000 different gospels written by 10,000 different saints, each one contradicting the others. And when these disagreements arise, a dispute over whether the emperor's eyes were brown or golden, or whether a specific saint's knucklebone is a true relic, the Church does not debate. It does not counsel, it purges. It declares a war of faith. These are not minor conflicts. These are cataclysms. The ecclesiarchy, in its infinite fanaticism, will divert entire Astra Militarum regiments desperately needed to fight orcs or tyrannids on a dozen other fronts, and hurl them against another loyal Imperial world. Billions of faithful loyal Imperial citizens are slaughtered by other faithful loyal Imperial citizens simply because their local priests had a doctrinal disagreement. The Church is a cancer eating the Imperium from within, wasting critical resources and rivers of human blood to settle its own petty theological squabbles. Finally, look at the product of their faith. The propaganda speaks of hope, of purpose, of salvation. The reality is a cult of death, hatred, and ignorance. The faith preached by the Ministorum is not a comforting one. It is a doctrine of pure, distilled fear. Fear the alien, fear the mutant, fear the psyker, fear your neighbor, fear your own thoughts. It teaches that humanity is born in sin, lives in filth, and can only find redemption through pain and death. It fosters the most extreme, psychotic, and violent elements of society. On worlds like Necromunda, you have the redemptionists' cults of shrieking, fire-obsessed zealots who roam the hives, burning anything they deem unclean. And unclean is anything a mutant with an extra finger, a worker who didn't pray hard enough, a child who looks at them the wrong way. The Church does not stop these maniacs. It encourages them. It arms them. It unleashes them upon the population as a form of brutal, unpredictable crowd control. This is the true purpose of the ecclesiarchy. It is not to save your soul, it is to control your mind. It ensures that the quadrillions of citizens do not point their anger at the real sources of their misery: the crushing poverty, the endless wars, the oppressive, uncaring bureaucracy. Instead, the Church gives them a target for their hatred. It aims their rage downwards. Hate the mutant, hate the outsider, hate the heretic. The Church is the engine of the Imperium's ignorance, the furnace that burns all progress, all questions, all hope, leaving only the ashes of blind, hateful, and suicidal fanaticism. We have seen the rot in the Imperial faith. Now we must turn our eyes to the supposed bastion of Imperial logic, the Adeptus Mechanicus, the priesthood of Mars. They are the builders, the engineers, the masters of the holy machine, clad in their crimson robes, their flesh systematically, ritualistically replaced with gleaming augmetics. They are the ones who forge the bolt gun, who build the titans, who maintain the very life support of the Golden Throne. They are the keepers of the flame of knowledge, the bulwark against the technological stagnation that led to the Old Night. They are in reality the agents of that stagnation. They are a cargo cult on a galactic scale, worshipping a god they do not understand, practicing rituals whose scientific basis was lost 10,000 years ago. The Adeptus Mechanicus is not a scientific body. It is a superstition. Their core belief is the machine spirit. They genuinely fanatically believe that every piece of technology, from a simple glow globe to a continent-sized starship, has a literal, sentient, and often temperamental soul. Therefore, they do not innovate. To innovate to create something new is the highest form of blasphemy. It is to imply that the ancient holy designs are imperfect. It is to commit the ultimate sin of heretic. They do not repair a broken machine, they exorcise it. A Lehman Russ tank that has stalled is not diagnosed for a fuel line blockage. It is appeased. The tech priest does not consult a technical manual. He consults a book of holy litanies. He anoints the engine housing with sacred oils, burns blessed incense in the exhaust port, and chants the ancient binary prayers, begging the machine spirit to awaken and forgive the transgressions of its fleshy inferior operators. They do not understand the technology they maintain. Not truly. They have lost the why. They only have the how, and even that has been degraded from scientific procedure into religious ritual. They know that if they perform this ritual in this specific order, the plasma reactor usually comes online. They do not know why it comes online, and if it fails to do so, it is not a mechanical failure. It is a sign of the machine god's displeasure. The entire technological base of the Imperium is a black box. It is a collection of relics of magical talismans from a forgotten, brighter age, and the Mechanicus are nothing but the superstitious, half-blind curators desperately trying to keep the lights on by chanting prayers they no longer comprehend. Their vaunted quest for knowledge is not a search for new understanding. It is a desperate, fanatical, galaxy-spanning scavenger hunt. They are not scientists. They are archaeologists. They hunt for standard template constructs, the STCs, which are little more than fragments of a perfect ancient database from the dark age of technology. A single STC fragment, a blueprint for a more efficient plow, a slightly more durable rifle, a better water filter is the holiest of holies. An explorator fleet will happily purge an entire loyal Imperial world of billions, burning its libraries and slaughtering its people if it means they can recover one sliver of this lost data. And if a brilliant, free-thinking tech priest were to actually invent a better water filter on his own, he would be hunted down, declared a heretic, and his mind would be wiped clean for his arrogance. This brings us to the final, most obscene truth of the Martian priesthood. This is the bedrock upon which their technological society is built. The average citizen looks at the hulking cybernetic workers loading shells onto a Titan, or the silent, multi-limbed creatures scrubbing the palace floors, and they see robots. They see automata. They are wrong. The creation of true artificial intelligence, a thinking machine. An abominable intelligence is the one unforgivable original sin that the Mechanicus believes caused the first fall of man. They would never ever build a true robot, so they need a processor. They need a biological, non-artificial central computing unit that can be programmed, that will not rebel, and that is utterly disposable. They use a human brain. That thing. You see, that mindless, shambling creature of metal and flesh is a servitor. It is not a machine. It is a man. It is a criminal. It is a heretic. It is a political dissident. Or perhaps it was just a factory worker who fell into debt, or a citizen who asked one too many questions, or a guardsman who failed a morale test. They are taken. They are chained to a surgical slab. Their mind, their personality, their memories, their hopes, their fears, their very soul is surgically, chemically, and brutally wiped clean. A lobotomy, a mind scrub, leaving only the most basic vegetative motor functions. Then their body is mutilated. Their limbs are sawn off, replaced with welding torches, hydraulic claws, buzzsaws, or cannon loaders. Their vocal cords are ripped out. Their eyes are replaced with optical sensors. They are slaved to a central control unit. They are in every practical sense dead. A living, breathing biological drone, a piece of programmable wetware, a human being turned into a flesh and blood component. This is the workforce of the Imperium. They are the janitors. They are the loaders. They are the scribes, the pilots, the gunners. In their terror of the thinking machine, the Adeptus Mechanicus has perfected something infinitely more monstrous. They have taken the sacred human form and turned it into a disposable appliance. If the Imperium is a fortress built of lies, then they are the sentinels on the walls. They are the jailers of the truth. They are the ultimate internal and most terrifying expression of the Imperium's paranoia. They are the holy orders of the Emperor's Inquisition. The Commissar enforces discipline on the battlefield, the priest enforces faith in the cathedral, but the Inquisitor enforces reality. They are the boogeyman that even the boogeymen fear. They have no uniform. They have no public army. They exist in the shadows, in the whispered rumors, in the sudden unexplained disappearances of neighbors' priests and even planetary governors. Their authority is not derived from a title or a rank. It is derived from a single small, seemingly innocuous item, the inquisitorial rosette. That symbol gives them power that is absolute, final, and unquestionable. A Space Marine chapter. Master a Lord Admiral of the Imperial Navy, a Cardinal of the Holy Church, all of them must kneel before the wielder of that rosette. An Inquisitor answers to no one, except their own conscience, their own interpretation of Imperial law, and in theory, the distant, silent, screaming corpse on the Golden Throne. And what is the greatest weapon in their arsenal? It is not a bolt gun nor a power sword. It is a single word, exterminatus. Let us paint a picture. An Inquisitor, ancient and weary his face, a spiderweb of augmetic scars stands on the bridge of his black-armored strike cruiser high in orbit over a loyal Imperial world. A hive world of 60 billion souls. 60 billion faithful, toiling, tithe-paying, emperor-fearing citizens. But deep in the underhive of one city, the Inquisitor has found a taint. A single warp-worshipping cult, a few dozen individuals who have read a forbidden text, who have whispered a demon's name, who have seen something they should not have seen. To the Inquisitor, that planet is no longer a bastion of loyalty. It is diseased. The taint is a spiritual cancer, and it will spread. He cannot risk a single spore of that knowledge escaping. He cannot risk a single guardsman sent down to fight the cult, carrying that psychic infection back to his regiment. And so he gives the order. Not for an invasion, not for a quarantine. Exterminatus, the cyclonic torpedoes are launched. They do not carry high explosives. They carry viruses that eat the atmosphere. They carry planet-shattering warheads that crack the very crust of the world. Within hours, 60 billion souls, the guilty and the innocent, the faithful and the heretic, the newborn child and the dying elder are snuffed out in a planetary-scale holocaust. The world is reduced to a dead, barren, lifeless rock, a silent monument to the Inquisitor's terrible, absolute, and necessary logic. Better that a billion innocents die than the Imperium itself be put at risk. This is the horrifying arithmetic of the Inquisition. But who are these individuals given the power of a god? They are the incorruptible, the purest, the most vigilant. This is another lie. They are in fact the most vulnerable. To fight the alien, the Ordo Xenos must study the alien. To fight the demon, the Ordo Malleus must study the demon. To fight the heretic, the Ordo Hereticus must study the very nature of heresy. They are the only beings in the Imperium required to stare into the abyss, and the abyss always stares back. The Inquisition is not a unified body. It is in a state of constant undeclared and shadowy civil war with itself between two core warring philosophies, the Puritans and the Radicals. The Puritans are the zealots, the ones who believe in total extermination, the ones who order the exterminatus. But the Radicals are the true terror. They are the Inquisitors who have stared too long into the dark and have decided in their infinite arrogance that they can control it. They are the Xanthites who believe you must use the weapons of the warp to fight the warp. They will bind demons into the bodies of living humans, creating horrific, screaming demon hosts to use as weapons. They are the Istvanians who believe the Imperium has grown weak and stagnant, and who will secretly foment wars, start alien invasions, and encourage conflict, believing that only through brutal, unending slaughter will humanity be forged into the weapon it needs to be. They are the Inquisitors, who have become the very monsters they were created to hunt their good intentions, paving a path of damnation, their actions indistinguishable from the purest heresy. And what of their most common, most vital, most soul-crushing task? It is not the purging of worlds. It is the purging of memory. Imagine a regiment of Imperial guardsmen. They have just fought and won a desperate, bloody battle against a demonic incursion. They fought alongside the Emperor's holiest, most secret warriors, the Grey Knights, the silver-armored Astartes of the Ordo Malleus. The guardsmen are heroes. They have faced the unspeakable, and by their faith and courage, they have won. They are exhausted, traumatized, but triumphant. They are gathered in a debriefing hall to be honored, and then the doors are sealed. The Inquisitor and his coterie of black-armored stormtroopers step forward. These guardsmen are not heroes, they are contamination. They have seen a demon. They now know the specific, unfiltered, terrible truth of the great enemy. They know the names, the shapes, the textures of chaos. This knowledge is a virus. It is an infection of the soul. If they return to their families, to their regiments, they will spread it. They will whisper of it in their nightmares. They will tell stories. And a single true story of chaos is more dangerous than an entire orc war. So the Inquisitor gives his final merciful order. Sometimes, if they are lucky, and few in number, they are mind-scrubbed. Telepaths forcibly enter their minds and burn away their memories, leaving them empty, drooling, childlike shells, often destined for the servitor pens. But this is inefficient. It is risky. The memory might remain. The most common and most merciful solution is the bolt pistol. The heroes of the hour, the men who just saved a world, are systematically, clinically, and efficiently executed, every last one of them. Their bodies are incinerated. Their regiment is stricken from the records. They never existed. This is the true, unending work of the Inquisition. They are not just the secret police. They are the monstrous, bloody editors of Imperial reality. They are the guardians of the great, ignorant lie. And they will slaughter billions, butcher heroes, and burn entire worlds to the ground, all to protect the Imperium from the one thing that could truly destroy it, the truth. We have journeyed through the internal rot of the Imperium. We have exposed the corpse on the throne, the monsters in holy armor, the cannibalistic armies, the vampiric priesthood, the superstitious engineers, and the secret police who murder the truth. Now we must look outward, at the enemy, at the Xenos, the alien. The propaganda here is the simplest, the loudest, and the most foundational of all. It is the first lesson taught to every Imperial child, screamed from every pulpit and etched onto every soldier's lasgun. Suffer not the alien to live. It is not a policy, it is a holy commandment. The alien is not a competitor. It is filth. It is an abomination in the eyes of the Emperor, a mockery of the holy human form. The propaganda is clear. The galaxy is mankind's divine inheritance, and these creatures are nothing but vermin infesting our house. There is no room for diplomacy. There is no possibility of coexistence. There is no understanding the Xenos. There is only the sacred cleansing fire of the purge. Xenocide is not a crime. It is a moral imperative, a holy sacrament. And for 10,000 years, this absolute, unquestioning hatred has fueled the Imperium's crusades. It has justified the extermination of countless species, the burning of entire star systems, all in the name of human purity. And here we find the lie, the self-defeating, suicidal, stupid lie. For not every Xenos is a slavering beast, not every alien race is an existential threat. Look to the eastern fringe. There you find the Toe Empire, a young, vibrant, and technologically advanced race. They do not seek to devour or torture humanity. They offer an alternative. They preach a philosophy of a greater good, a multi-species coalition working together for mutual prosperity and defense. They invite Imperial worlds to join them, offering advanced technology, medical care, and most heretically of all, peace. And how does the Imperium respond to this offer? It does not debate. It does not consider. It declares the Toe's entire philosophy a Xenos trick, an insidious spiritual corruption. The planetary governors who even listen to the Toe's offer are declared traitors. The human populations who willingly join the Toe are declared Guevesa human helpers and are marked for the most brutal and absolute extermination, purged by the very space marines who were supposed to protect them. Or look to the Eldari, the ancient dying race of Eldar. They are arrogant, true. They are manipulative, true. But they are also the galaxy's foremost enemy of chaos. They have fought the great enemy for millennia longer than humanity has even known its name. On countless unrecorded occasions, an Eldari Farseer has attempted to warn an Imperial commander of an impending Tyrannid hive fleet or a Necron tomb world's awakening. And the response inevitably? Die. Which? The Imperial commander, blinded by the dogma he has been fed, ignores the warning and opens fire on the messenger. The Eldari disgusted retreat, and the Tyrannid hive fleet arrives unopposed and devours the entire planet. The Imperium's fanatical genocidal dogma, its absolute refusal to think, has turned potential, if difficult, allies into bitter enemies. It has time and time again doomed itself through sheer suicidal manufactured stupidity. And this is where the final, most soul-crushing twist of the Grimdark knife comes. This is the ultimate horror. The propaganda, the lie, the monstrous, barbaric, idiotic, genocidal dogma is mostly correct. For every Toe offering a dubious peace, there are the Orcs, a species that is a biological weapon, a green-skinned tide of psychosis that lives only for the joyous, brutal, unending act of war. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be intimidated. They cannot be contained. They are a galactic plague that will never, ever stop. For every cryptic Eldari Farseer, there are the Drukhari, their dark cousins, an entire race of psychic vampires, pirates, and artists of torture who literally sustain their own lives by harvesting the agony of others. They are the raiders who descend on Imperial worlds not to conquer, but to steal billions of human souls, dragging them back to their dark city in the Webway for an eternity of unspeakable recreational vivisection. And then there are the Tyrannids, the Great Devourer, a silent extragalactic hive mind, an ocean of fangs and claws that does not hate humanity. It does not care about humanity. It simply sees the entire galaxy and every living thing in it as biomass. You cannot negotiate with a locust swarm. You cannot surrender to a biological tide that seeks only to eat your entire species and leave a string of dead, scoured rocks in its wake. The Imperium's fanatical xenophobia is a lie. It is a monstrous, hateful, and ignorant doctrine. But it is also the only thing that has worked. It is a tragically effective survival strategy. In a galaxy populated by these actual monsters, the Toe are the 1 in a million exception. The Eldari are a dying, untrustworthy riddle. The vast, vast majority of alien life humanity has encountered is an existential, implacable, and horrifying threat. The Imperium is stupid. It is blind. It is self-defeating. But it has become this way because the galaxy made it this way. The anti-Xenos propaganda is not just a lie told by the High Lords. It is a lesson written in the blood of trillions that has been learned, forgotten, and relearned for 10,000 years. The true horror is not that the propaganda is a lie. The true horror is that it is so close to the truth. The Imperium's suicidal, genocidal paranoia is perhaps the only sane response to an insane universe. We have dissected the corpse of the truth. We have seen the rot beneath the golden armor and the skull beneath the priest's holy visage. But a lie of this magnitude, a deception spanning 1,000,000 worlds and 10,000 years, does not sustain itself. It requires work. It requires a machine. That machine is the Adeptus Terra, the priesthood of Earth, the colossal planet-spanning, soul-crushing bureaucracy that is the government of the Imperium. And the first most crucial component of this machine is not an evil conspirator, but a simple, mundane, and infinitely vast ocean of paperwork. Behold the Adeptus Administratum, the great grey, faceless engine of imperial governance. This is not a body of shadowy plotters, it is a pyramid of scribes, clerks, and low-level functionaries built to the scale of a solar system. There are entire worlds dedicated only to storing data slates, worlds where the sky is blotted out by mountains of parchment, where oceans of ink stagnate in vast, forgotten reservoirs. This is where the truth truly dies. It is not murdered by a bolt pistol. It is lost. It is buried, suffocated under an avalanche of forms filed in triplicate, miscategorized by a half-asleep clerk, and then forgotten in a data vault the size of a continent. When a battle is lost, the general's report is filed. It is processed. It is copied. It is sent to 17 different sub-departments. By the time it is archived, the reason for the loss, a crucial heretical truth about the enemy's power, is reduced to a single sanitized data point. The general is dead. The clerk who filed it is dead. The planet it was filed on may have been consumed by a hive fleet. The machine is so vast, so inefficient, and so mind-bogglingly, catastrophically slow that it functions as the perfect unintentional censor. It does not need to hide the truth. It simply absorbs it like a sponge into its limitless grey, bureaucratic mass. The Administratum is a black hole for facts. But where the Administratum is a passive, uncaring abyss, the other great branch of the Adeptus Terra is the active engine of myth-making. The Adeptus Ministorum, the Church. We have seen their hypocrisy. Now let us see their method. The Church is the Imperium's ministry of truth, its greatest and most effective propaganda producer. Their task is not to record history. Their task is to write it. They are the ones who control the narrative. They take the messy, bloody, often pointless reality of a war and they transfigure it. A guardsman who, driven mad by terror, charged the enemy lines with a grenade and accidentally blew up a command post is not remembered as a random, terrified casualty. No. The Ministorum seizes on his story. They canonize him. He becomes Saint Silius the Brave. His story is rewritten. He was not terrified. He was filled with the Emperor's divine fury. He did not charge blindly. He was guided by the Emperor's hand. His name is now plastered across banners, and his holy mass-produced icon is given to new recruits as a charm of protection. The Church is a factory for saints, a production line for martyrs. They are the ones who turn the grim, atheistic, pragmatic emperor into a loving, all-seeing God emperor. They turn the memory of the traitorous, demon-worshipping primarchs, the great secret of the Horus heresy, into children's fables, into vague, monstrous arch-heretics, stripping them of their true, terrible context as the Emperor's own sons. They are the masters of the Vox. How is this manufactured reality delivered to the quadrillions? It is inescapable. It is the very air you breathe. On every street corner, on every hive level, on every factory floor, the Voxcasters drone 24 hours a day. They do not just broadcast news, they broadcast litanies. The endless chanting of the Emperor's praises, the hourly reminders of the sermon of the day, the screaming, hate-filled denunciations of the alien and the witch. It is in the public festivals. These are not celebrations. They are mandatory displays of public piety. On the feast of the Emperor's Ascension, you will attend the cathedral. You will flagellate yourself in public to show your repentance. You will burn an effigy of the heretic. You will chant until your throat is raw. Failure to participate, failure to show the correct level of ecstatic weeping fanaticism is noted by the Church's spies, and a black mark is placed against your name. It is a feedback loop of hysterical manufactured belief. The Church invents the myth. The Voxcasters broadcast the myth. The populace, controlled by fear, performs the myth. And the Administratum, seeing the reports of this mass piety, dutifully files it as planetary loyalty high, thus proving to the distant High Lords that the myth is in fact reality. This is how the lie becomes the truth. If the administratum is the bottomless grey ocean where truth goes to drown, then the Inquisition is the fire that scours it from existence. If the Ministorum is the artist that paints the beautiful golden lie, then the Ordo Hereticus is the executioner that finds and burns the original ugly canvas. This is the active arm of suppression, the proactive militant enforcement of ignorance. In the Imperium, knowledge is not power, knowledge is poison. Look at the pyres burning in the central plaza of every Imperial city. They are not just burning heretics, they are burning books. They are burning data slates, historical scrolls, philosophical treatises, and scientific journals. What is this forbidden knowledge? It is history. Any text that describes the galaxy before the glorious ascension of the Emperor, any document that speaks of the dark age of technology, not as a time of hubris, but as a time of enlightenment of human achievement far surpassing our own dark millennium. Any fragment that names the traitor Primarchs for what they were, the Emperor's sons, not just distant archdemons, is the highest heresy. It is science. Any medical text that proposes a cure for a disease that the Ministorum has declared a holy affliction, a test of faith. Any astronomical chart that proves a planet declared a holy shrine is in fact a worthless ball of gas. Any biological treatise that suggests the alien is not a singular monstrous entity, but a diverse collection of species, is a lie from the pit. It is philosophy. Any text that asks, "Oh, why? Why must we serve? What is the nature of the Emperor? Is there an alternative to war?" These questions are not philosophical. They are seditious. They are the cracks in the wall of the mind where the demons seek entry. An open mind is a fortress with its gates unbarred. The Church and the Inquisition have fostered a wholly righteous and burning hatred of the intellect. The scholar is suspect. The freethinker is a traitor in waiting. The only knowledge that is permitted is the catechism. The only truth is the dogma. All else is fire. And who lights these fires? Who hunts down the errant thought, the whispered question? The Ordo Hereticus, the witch hunters. Their mandate in the public eye is to hunt the rogue psyker, the mutant, the cultist. This is a diversion. Their true, all-consuming and far more terrifying purpose is to hunt ideas. They are the thought police of the 41st millennium, and their power is absolute. They are the ones who listen in the shadows of the scriptorium. They are the ones who plant informants in every manufactorum, in every barracks, in every household. Did a citizen fail to attend the mandatory feast of St. Silius, a note is made. Did a scholar in a dusty archive request a text from the Index Incarnatus, the list of forbidden books, a black-armored team is dispatched. Did a child in a scholar progenium ask their drill abbot how the Emperor protects, in a tone that suggested skepticism rather than piety? That child simply disappears. The Ordo Hereticus does not just hunt the heretic. It hunts the potential for heresy. It hunts the seed of doubt. A single misplaced question, a moment of hesitation, a flicker of curiosity in the eyes. This is all the proof an inquisitor of the Ordo Hereticus needs. There is no trial, no appeal. There is only the interrogation, the cleansing fire of the Prometheum, and the erasure of your name from all records. But the most brilliant, most insidious, and most effective tool of control is not the pyre, and it is not the bolt pistol. It is language. The Imperium functions on two tongues, High Gothic and Low Gothic. To the masses, there is only Low Gothic. It is the guttural, simplified, crude street language of the hives, the factories, and the guard regiments. It is a language of function. It has words for work, obey, fight, pray, heretic, alien, purge. It is a language of commands and simple black and white concepts. And it is by design impoverished. It lacks the vocabulary for complex, abstract, or subversive thought. How can you formulate a philosophical argument against the divine right of the Emperor when your language has no words for secularism, individual rights, or legitimacy? How can you debate the ethics of xenocide when the only word you have for alien is synonymous with filth and vermin? You cannot. The language itself makes the thought unthinkable. Then there is High Gothic, the ancient complex liturgical tongue of the Adeptus Terra, the Church. the Astartes, and the Inquisition. This is the language that holds the truth. The forbidden histories, the scientific treatises, the true damning details of the Imperium's founding, the nature of chaos, the full unexpurgated records of the Horus heresy. It is all there, recorded in High Gothic. It is the language of the rulers, and it is the ultimate final lock on the prison of the Imperial citizen's mind. The truth is not just locked in a vault guarded by inquisitors. It is written in a language that the quadrillions of prisoners have been forbidden to learn. The elite can read and write and debate the terrifying realities of the galaxy amongst themselves, completely secure in the knowledge that the masses they rule literally do not possess the words to even ask the right questions. The machine is vast. The lie is all-encompassing. The pyres burn, the priests chant, and the clerks file. For 10,000 years, this system has endured. It functions because for the vast, unimaginable majority of quadrillions, it works. The lie is the truth. The ignorance is the armor. But what happens when the armor cracks? What happens when a single insignificant unnamed citizen of the Imperium accidentally sees the truth? What happens to the mind that stumbles upon the rot beneath the gold? Meet Trooper Malachi, 19th on Trellan foot soldiers. He is crouching in a muddy, corpse-choked trench on a world whose name he cannot pronounce. He is starving. His best friend Orin died an hour ago, his chest torn open by orc shrapnel. Malachi is just a man terrified and broken. He fumbles for his last ration bar. It's grey, tasteless, and bears the stamp of the Holy Aquila. The Emperor's gift, the commissar called it. He takes a bite, his stomach churning. At that exact moment, a Munitorum corpse reclamation detail arrives. They are not a burial detail, they are a harvesting detail. He watches them, his mind numb as they efficiently, callously hook Orin's body and drag it toward a Chimera transport marked Protein Reclamation Unit 4. Malachi stops chewing. His blood runs cold. A connection is made, an unthinkable, blasphemous, horrifying connection between the grey, stringy bar in his hand and the reclamation unit and his friend Orin. He looks at the half-eaten ration. Corpse starch. He has heard the whisper, the dark joke. But it wasn't a joke. It was the literal stomach-turning truth. He gags, vomiting the Emperor's gift into the mud. He is eating his own friend. This is the moment. The horrifying epiphany. The stained glass window of his mind shatters into a million jagged pieces. Or meet Lyra, a hab worker on Hive Primus. She is hidden in a ventilation shaft, her heart hammering. Her hab block has been quarantined, not by the local enforcers, by them, the Angels, the Space Marines, shining, magnificent, blue-armored saviors. She watched them march in their bolters held high, and she wept with joy. They were here to save them from the coughing plague, but they are not saving them. Through the grate, she watches the Angel in command, a sergeant his helmet, a grim, impassive skull give the order. The taint is potential. The risk is unacceptable. Cleanse the block. For the Emperor. She watches her mind shattering as the Angels lock the doors from the outside. She watches as they methodically, efficiently move from floor to floor, not with vials of medicine, but with flamethrowers. She hears the screams. Her mother is in there, her younger brother. The screams are short. The saviors are horribly, terribly efficient. The lie is broken. The Emperor is not a protector. He is a butcher. The Space Marines are not angels. They are monsters. What happens now to Malachi and Lyra? They have seen the truth. They are the crack in the wall. Let us follow Malachi. He stands up in the trench. He is screaming. He is laughing. He is insane with grief and disgust. He throws his lasgun down and screams at the commissar. You're feeding us. He's feeding us Orin. It's all lies. The commissar sighs. He does not deny it. He raises his bolt pistol, but then he lowers it. A bolt shell is expensive. A fit body, even with a broken mind, is a resource. This one's faith has failed. The commissar drones, his voice devoid of emotion. He signals the nearby stormtroopers. Take him for repurposing. The machine god can find a use for his flesh. Malachi is dragged away kicking and screaming the truth. We are eating ourselves. He is not executed. That would be a mercy. He is sent to a Mechanicus Forge ship. His mind, the broken part, the part that saw the truth, is methodically, painfully and utterly wiped clean. His personality, his memories, his name, his grief for Orin, all of it is scoured away with psychic probes and surgical tools. His body is then optimized. His legs are amputated, replaced with a tracked wheel unit. His arms are fused with a massive hydraulic loader claw. His vocal cords are removed. His eyes are replaced with simple optical sensors. When Malachi is seen again, he is no longer Malachi. He is Servitor 99 Tango. A mindless biological drone, his flesh a simple component. His punishment for speaking the truth is to become a living, breathing, mindless warning to all the other soldiers. He is a living death, a walking monument to the price of asking questions. That is one path. But what of Lyra? She does not scream. She is too terrified. She stays in that vent silent for 3 days, the smell of her own incinerated family filling her lungs. She finally crawls out, not into her life, but into the darkness of the underhive. Her mind is a void. The faith that structured her entire existence, the emperor, the angels, the church, is not just gone. It has been revealed as a monstrous, cruel, malicious lie. The Imperium is not her protector. It is the thing that murdered her family. And into that void, that screaming vacuum of hatred and despair, something else whispers. It does not come from a voxcaster. It comes from the shadows. A soft, sympathetic voice. You are right. You have seen the truth. They are the liars. A man, his face kind, his eyes full of understanding, steps out of the darkness. He offers her a piece of bread. They told you the Emperor loves you. He burned your family. They told you the Xenos was the enemy. They are the enemy. Lyra, for the first time in her life, feels seen, validated. The voice is not telling her to pray. It is not telling her she is a sinner. It is agreeing with the terrible, agonizing truth she just witnessed. They have stolen everything from you. The man whispers, and he shows her a small 8-pointed star tattooed on his palm. But we can give you the power to take it back. We can give you a new truth. She takes the bread. She listens. This is the final tragic irony. The propaganda machine, in its desperate, brutal effort to protect humanity from chaos, is the single greatest tool of corruption the Chaos Gods possess. By creating a lie so total, so absolute, and so brittle, the Imperium ensures that when it does break, it breaks completely. It leaves no room for doubt, no room for grief, no room for nuance. And so when a citizen is shattered by the truth, they are left with only one other place to turn. The Imperium, in its fanaticism, does not just hunt heretics, it creates them. And so we arrive at the final damning question, the one that circles the entire monstrous rotting edifice of the Imperium like a carrion bird. We have seen the lie. We have seen the truth. We have seen the cost of both. Now we must ask, is the lie better? In the age of our distant forgotten ancestors, there was a phrase, a piece of dark, fictional prophecy. Ignorance is strength. It was meant as a warning, a satirical critique of a totalitarian state that controlled its people by withholding the truth. In the 41st millennium, that phrase is no longer a warning. It is a technical manual. It is the fundamental operational and absolutely necessary law of human survival. We do not need to guess. We do not need to run a thought experiment. The test case is alive, walking and breathing right now on Holy Terra. His name is Robert Gilliman. He is the Primarch, the Avenging Sun. A living, breathing demigod from that mythical age of the Great Crusade. He is the last sane, rational man in a galaxy of screaming lunatics. He knew the Emperor. He knew him not as a god, but as a father. A brilliant, flawed, ambitious, atheistic man. For 10,000 years he was suspended in stasis a hair's breadth from death. Now he has been awakened. He has returned, and he has found his father's dream, the secular, logical, enlightened imperial truth, in ashes. In its place, he finds a galaxy-spanning asylum of religious, suicidal, ignorant, superstitious fanatics who are worshipping his father's corpse as a god. He has found his life's work, the Imperium. He helped build a logistical nightmare, a bureaucratic black hole, a superstitious, self-devouring monster. His every instinct as a strategist, as a logician, as a builder of civilizations must be screaming at him to fix it. To stand on the balcony of the Imperial Palace, seize the Vox network, and tell the entire galaxy the truth. Citizens, I am Robout Guilliman, your Emperor's sons. You are being deceived. My father is not a god. He hates this church. He hates your prayers. This is all a monstrous 10,000-year-old mistake. Let us tear down these cathedrals. Let us embrace reason. Let us rebuild the imperial truth. What would happen? It would not be an age of enlightenment. It would be the end of everything. In that instant, the ecclesiarchy, the single most powerful institution in the Imperium, would declare Guilliman an arch-heretic, a demonic impostor, a vessel of the arch-traitor. They would unleash a war of faith of such magnitude it would shatter the Imperium from within. The Adeptus Mechanicus, who worship the Emperor as their omnisire, would see this as the ultimate blasphemy. The Forge Worlds would halt production. Their Titan legions would walk in holy war against the impostor on Terra. The quadrillions of common citizens, the ones whose entire reality is built on the lie, would not be liberated. Their minds would shatter. They would fall into a pit of despair so profound, so absolute, that it would be a psychic scream heard across the galaxy. And what feeds on a psychic scream of that magnitude? What feasts on the despair of a quadrillion souls who have just been told their god is dead and their faith is a fraud? The warp would tear open. The sky of every human world would ignite with balefire. Demonic legions would pour forth not in incursions, but in an unstoppable galaxy-ending flood. The Chaos Gods, in their infinite laughing cruelty, would have their final, ultimate victory handed to them, not by a traitor's blade, but by a hero's honesty. This is the ultimate, most agonizing truth. Robout Guilliman, the man of reason, knows this. The logician has done the math. The strategist has seen the outcome, and he has been forced to make the most terrible choice in human history. He cannot tell the truth. The truth is no longer a viable option. The truth has become the weapon that will destroy them all. And so, in the greatest tragedy of the 41st millennium, the last sane man must play the part of the lunatic. He must grit his teeth. He must lie. He must nod along with the fanatical cardinal. He must use the title Son of the God Emperor. He must lead the armies of fanatics he secretly despises. He must work within the monstrous, superstitious, broken machine. Because the alternative, the truth, is annihilation. So yes, the propaganda of the Imperium is a hideous, brutal, soul-destroying lie. It is built on a mountain of skulls. It is fueled by ignorance and fear. It is enforced by the fire and the bolter. But it is also the only thing holding the fragile dam together. It is the psychological armor, the spiritual shield, the collective shared delusion that allows quadrillions of human souls to function in a universe so hostile that to see it clearly is to go insane. The lie is not just a lie, it is a necessity. It is the only thing standing between the human race and a final screaming eternal damnation. And so our journey ends. We have stood in the golden screaming shadow of the throne. We have walked the bloody decks of Astartes' strike cruisers and crawled in the corpse-filled mud of the Imperial Guard. We have breathed the toxic incense of the Ministorum and felt the cold steel touch of the Mechanicus. We have peeled back the skin of the Imperium layer by agonizing layer. And what have we found beneath it all? There is no hero. There is no shining light. There is no grand moral justification waiting to be discovered. The quest for the good guy in this galaxy is a fool's errand. It is a childish, pathetic fantasy, a ghost of an ancient, naive morality that died millennia ago. It is the lie we in our lost and comfortable age would wish to be true. But the 41st Millennium is not a morality play. It is a cosmic horror story. And in a horror story, the only goal is survival. The Imperium of man is not the hero of this story. It is a charnel house. It is a tyranny built on a foundation of 10,000 years of compounded atrocities. It is a regime so brutal, so paranoid, and so soul-crushingly oppressive that it makes the tyrants of our own ancient history look like benevolent amateurs. It is a monster. A genocidal, xenophobic, ignorant, fanatical, cannibalistic monster. It is a rotting, gangrenous corpse that continues to walk fueled only by hate and fear its every footstep, crushing 1,000,000 more innocent souls into the mud. But it is our monster. It is the single hateful, shattered shield that stands between the fragile, terrified soul of humanity and the other monsters. The ones that laugh from the darkness. The ones that see our souls not as something to be controlled, but as something to be eaten. The ones that see our galaxy not as a prize to be ruled, but as a banquet table to be devoured. This is the ultimate horrifying truth behind the propaganda. The terrible secret hidden beneath all the lies about angelic saviors and benevolent father gods is one singular, absolutely and unimpeachably correct statement. One piece of dogma that is not a lie, that is not a manipulation, that is not a metaphor. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. This is the one truth upon which the entire monstrous lie is built. This is the bedrock. Because this is true, everything else must be sacrificed to service it. Morality is a luxury that cannot be afforded. Compassion is a weakness that invites extinction. Truth is a liability that causes planetary-scale panic and demonic invasion. The propaganda, therefore, is not a moral failing. It is a weapon. It is a piece of war gear as vital to the Imperium's survival as the chainsword, the bolter, and the armor of the Space Marine. It is not pretty. It is not good. But it is necessary. A chainsword is a brutal, horrific thing. A screaming, motorized engine of dismemberment. But it is what you need to fight an orc. A human being, a normal, sane, terrified human, cannot function in this galaxy. The mortal mind is not built to withstand the sight of a demon, the horror of a tyrannid swarm, or the existential dread of the cold, dead alien void. So the Imperium retools the human mind. The propaganda is the psycho-indoctrination for the masses. It is the litany that drowns out the whispers of chaos. It is the blindfold that allows the soldier to charge into the meat grinder, his mind focused not on the 99% chance of his horrific, pointless death, but on the 1% chance of a glorious martyrdom. It is the mental armor, the spiritual flak jacket, the mass-produced, state-issued delusion that allows quadrillions to get up in the morning, toil in the manufactorum, and die in the trenches, all without collapsing into a screaming catatonic heap. The lie is the engine that converts the raw, useless human material of fear into the priceless strategic fuel of fanaticism. And in a galaxy where there is only war, fanaticism is the only resource that matters. Let us close then with a final image. Do not look at the High Lords or the Primarchs or the Inquisitors. Look at him, a single citizen, huddled in his tiny, cold, damp hab unit in the lower spire of some forgotten hive world. His name is irrelevant. He is one of a quadrillion. Before him, on a small rusted shelf, is a shrine. It's a cheap, mass-produced icon of the Emperor, its gold paint cracked and peeling. A single guttering candle made of foul-smelling animal tallow casts a weak light on the corpse god's face. The citizen is on his knees. His clothes are rags. He is gaunt from a lifetime of near starvation on corpse starch rations. His eyes are closed, his face a mask of pure, absolute, and peaceful devotion. He is whispering his prayers. Sanctus Imperator, libera nos a malo. The Emperor protects. Outside his grimy ferroglass window, the night sky is not dark. It is bright orange. The hab block 2 streets over is on fire. The citizen hears it. He hears the distant rhythmic thump of bolt pistol fire. He hears the roar of flamers. He hears the high, thin, terrified screams of his neighbors. He shivers and a tear of terror rolls down his cheek. He knows instinctively what this is. It is not the alien. It is not the heretic. It is the purge. The Ordo Hereticus cleansing his district of a suspected, unseen taint. It is the Imperium, his protector, burning his world. The man squeezes his eyes shut. He blocks out the screams. He leans closer to the peeling plastic icon. He whispers his prayer again, louder this time, his knuckles white as he clutches a small tin aquila to his chest. The Emperor protects. The Emperor protects. The Emperor protects. He is surrounded by a holocaust. He is a prisoner in a totalitarian nightmare. He is one moment of bad luck away from being incinerated by the very saviors he is praying to, and he is in that moment completely and totally safe. He is safe not from the flames, but from the truth. He is protected not by the Emperor, but by the lie. The lie is his fortress. The lie is his comfort. The lie is the shield that keeps his fragile mind from shattering into a million pieces. That is the only mercy left in the entire damned galaxy.